right from the beginning, did not adopt Professor Yunus's Grameen Bank model, which is aimed at the landless, not at farmers. That's why the weekly repayment, for example, is impossible for farmers. Having said that, and having worked with, having lent close to 2,000 crores to farmers, which we borrowed from banks over the last, 15, 16 years in different geographies, I have to say that it is a losing proposition for the farmer. The 1.2 hectare operational holding size that you mentioned is a grand average. Actually, most of 80% of them are small and marginal. And then there's a further problem that this actually is the sum total of the land holding, which is further fragmented often. So the actual operational plot is much, much smaller, and therefore it's not possible to reap economies of scale. The National Sample Survey of 2004-05 had asked one question to farmers. If you had a choice, would you quit farming? And 40% at that time had said yes. I assure you, if you do that survey today, the answer would be 60 or 70%. And if you do it today with young farmers, that is farmers below 35, the answer would be 95%. So it's very unpopular to say, but I want to say it here, because this is a different kind of forum, that the Indian farmer needs our help, and he needs our help in getting out of farming. But it cannot be the older Indian farmer, because in a sense, both his life and his lifestyle are now too far gone. So I'm talking of the younger generation, the farmer's sons, if you may like, is the phrase, to help them come out of agriculture, but go where? To the city as a hamali, as a security guard, as, good for nothing without any skills? No. So we really need what China did 25 years ago. A huge investment, on the one hand in skill building, and on the other hand in what they call TVs, township and village enterprises. Basically, we have nothing between our villages and then large cities, and we need a different solution. So the solution has to be beyond agriculture. See, classical agriculture is the owner possesses and operates. Then you had, the owner was the landlord, then there was a sharecropper, and he was cultivating. So that itself was a major shift, right? Leasing is another example. But what I'm talking about is actually a 21st century shift, which is disintermediating land from the person. Right. This business about this is my land, I think needs to be put an end to at some stage. Because only then can we effect consolidation, only then can we effect all the, gains of technology that are necessary. I had the benefit of visiting China way back in 1986. That time I used to work with the National Wasteland Development Board. And during the Mao era, they basically did away with any land titles. And therefore, what you saw in the 1980s in China was a technical optimum. As if some agricultural engineers and agricultural economists and agronomists had sat down and said, okay, this is perfect for paddy, this is perfect for pulses, this is perfect for tree cultivation, and that's how it was. And then, of course, Deng Xiaoping came, and he introduced the whole idea of self-interest and, responsibility system and all that. In India, we've had neither of those two, so except in a few Green Revolution pockets. So it is highly overdue. But it is so deeply culturally embedded in us that even speaking about it, I hesitate, because one could be misquoted and,
Sure.
Who knows how, one can be misunderstood and
Sure.
be
Sure.
dubbed anti-farmer.
Sure.
Not
Sure.
at all.
Sure.
My heart goes out to those 80 million small and marginal farmers, but they really need help.